Take a deep breath. Feel the air enter your lungs, and as you exhale, notice the tension in your shoulders that you didn't even realize you were holding. Close your eyes for a moment and listen to the silence of the room. Does it feel peaceful to you? Or does it feel like a heavy, suffocating weight? For most of you watching this, silence is not a sanctuary. It is a battlefield. The moment you stop moving, the moment you put down your phone or close your laptop, a cold, creeping anxiety begins to rise from the depths of your stomach. You feel an urgent, almost primal need to check an email, to wash a dish, to scroll through a feed, or to plan next week's schedule. You tell yourself that you are being productive. You tell yourself that you are disciplined, a high achiever, a person of value in a world that rewards the grind. But in the behavioral psychology lab, we look past the mask of ambition. We see the truth that you are hiding even from yourself. You are not addicted to success. You are addicted to exhaustion. You have built a life where your only sense of safety comes from being tired. Because as long as you are tired, you don't have to feel. As long as you are burnt out, the quiet, terrifying questions of who you are and what your life actually means cannot reach you. Your exhaustion is not a byproduct of your hard work. It is your shield. It is a sophisticated psychological suit of armor that you put on every morning to protect yourself from the void. Welcome to the Behavioral Psychology Lab. Today, we are going to perform a forensic analysis of the Sisyphus Complex of the 21st century. We are going to decode the neuroscience of why your brain has been programmed to equate rest with danger. We will expose the biological trap of learned industriousness and the dark mechanism of the dopamine treadmill that keeps you running until you collapse. By the end of this deep dive, you will realize that your inability to do nothing is not a badge of honor. It is a survival reflex born from a past that told you that you were only worthy of love when you were useful. I am going to make a prediction. By the end of this video, you will feel a shift in your internal gravity. The guilt you feel when you rest will begin to transform from a sign of failure into a sign of healing. Let us begin with the first and most insidious layer of this trap, the ghost of the conditional child. Before we dive into the biological hardware of your burnout, we must address a dark loop that is currently playing in your mind. There is a reason why you feel like a fraud the moment you take a day off. There is a reason why self-care feels like a chore rather than a relief. We will discuss the specific psychological ritual called the guilt pivot in a moment, a mechanism that ensures you never truly experience peace, even when you are on vacation. But first, to understand why you are currently starving for rest, yet refusing to eat, we must look at the soil in which your ambition was planted. Think back to your childhood. Not the big events, but the small, quiet moments of evaluation. Were you praised for being yourself, or were you praised for what you did? Think about the report cards, the sports trophies, the chores completed without being asked. For many of you, the message you received from the world, and perhaps from your parents, was clear and devastating. Love is a transaction. Approval is something you earn, like a currency. When you were quiet, when you were helpful, when you were achieving, you were seen. When you were just being. When you were messy, loud, or simply idle, you were an inconvenience. In that environment, your young brain made a life-altering calculation. It signed a biological contract in the dark. If I am always doing, I am always safe. If I am always tired, no one can ask more of me. This is the birth of the high-functioning martyr. You learn to use your productivity as a way to regulate the emotions of the adults around you. If you were the good child with the perfect grades, maybe the house would stay quiet. If you were the one who fixed everything, maybe the parent would stop crying. You became the emotional thermostat of your household by becoming a machine of output. And here is the tragedy. The world rewards this trauma. Society looks at your burnout and calls it dedication. The algorithms look at your late-night work and call it hustle. You have been gaslit by an entire civilization into believing that your exhaustion is your greatest asset, when in reality, it is the wall of a prison you built to keep the child inside from being rejected again. You are not running toward a goal, you are running away from the fear of being useless. Because in your nervous system, being useless equals being unloved. And being unloved, to a child, equals death. Now, let us move from the past to the laboratory of the present. Why does your brain physically crave the stress of a long to-do list? Why does dopamine, the chemical of reward, feel so hollow even when you achieve everything you set out to do? To understand this, we must decode the hardware of the dopamine treadmill. In behavioral science, there is a concept called learned industriousness, developed by psychologist Robert Eisenberger. It suggests that when high effort is consistently rewarded, the sensation of effort itself becomes a secondary reinforcer. In simpler terms, your brain starts to enjoy the pain of the work because it has been trained to associate that pain with the safety of a reward. For you, the sweat, the lack of sleep, and the racing heart are not warning signs, they are the drug. You have been conditioned to feel a high from the very things that are killing you. But there is a darker side to this. Let us look at the Zeigarnik Effect. This is a psychological phenomenon where our brains remember uncompleted or interrupted tasks much better than completed ones. For the person addicted to exhaustion, the to-do list is never-ending by design. You unconsciously add more tasks the moment you finish one. Why? Because as long as there is an open loop, as long as there is something left to do, your brain stays in a state of high alert survival. This alert state suppresses your access to your deeper, more painful emotions. It is a biological mute button for your soul. In 2025, this is being exacerbated by what we call digital satiety. You are constantly bombarded with images of people who are doing more than you. Your brain, which evolved in small tribes, now compares its output to 8 billion people. This creates a permanent state of relative deprivation. You feel like you are falling behind even when you are leading the pack. This floods your system with cortisol, the stress hormone. Over time, your brain becomes desensitized to cortisol. You need higher and higher levels of stress just to feel normal. This is why you seek out toxic bosses, impossible deadlines, and chaotic relationships. You are chasing the stress high just to feel alive. We must also talk about the default mode network, DMN, in your brain. This is the part of your brain that becomes active when you are not focused on the outside world, when you are daydreaming, reflecting, or just sitting in silence. For most people, the DMN is a space for creativity. But for someone with a history of conditional love, the DMN is a horror movie. The moment you stop focusing on a task, your DMN starts playing a reel of all your perceived failures, all your insecurities, and all the ways you are not enough. You don't hate rest. You hate the thoughts that wait for you in the rest. You use work as a form of cognitive distraction. You are literally trying to outrun your own mind. Think about the dopamine menu trend of late 2025. People are trying to find healthy hits of dopamine, taking a walk, drinking a tea, petting a dog. But for you, the dopamine menu feels like a joke. Why would you pet a dog when you could be answering 10 emails? Why would you take a walk when that time could be spent improving yourself? You have lost the ability to experience process joy, the joy of doing something for its own sake. You only experience outcome joy, which is fleeting and requires an ever-increasing dose. You are a biological organism that has forgotten how to be because it has been forced to become a perpetual doer. We have decoded the biological cage. You now understand that your exhaustion is a trauma response, a shield, and a neurological addiction. You realize that you aren't lazy when you rest. You are actually exposed. This is why you find yourself cleaning the house at 11 p.m. or checking your phone under the table at dinner. You are trying to put your armor back on. But how do we break the contract? How do we tell the conditional child that the war is over? The answer lies in a radical shift from productivity to presence. We are about to discuss the tactical stoicism of the idle mind. This is not about a dopamine detox that lasts for a weekend. It is about a permanent rewiring of your value system. But first, you must face the most difficult question of all. Who are you when you have nothing to offer? To reclaim your life, you must undergo a process of unlearning. You must treat your addiction to exhaustion with the same seriousness as any other substance abuse. This is the path of the sovereign mind. Tool number 1, the useless hour protocol. Every day, you must schedule 60 minutes of absolute utility zero. In this hour, you are forbidden from doing anything that has a measurable outcome. You cannot read a self-help book. You cannot listen to a podcast. You cannot exercise for the purpose of fitness. You must do something useless. Sit on a bench and watch the clouds. Draw a picture and then throw it away. Play a game you are bad at. This is a direct attack on your learned industriousness. You are training your brain to realize that the world does not end when you stop being productive. You are teaching your nervous system that safety can exist in the absence of output. At first, this hour will feel like torture. You will feel itchy, anxious, and guilty. That is the withdrawal. Stay in it. That itch is the feeling of your armor being stripped away. Tool number 2, the Stoic view from above. Marcus Aurelius often practiced a technique where he would visualize himself from high above the earth. He would see the vastness of the world, the millions of people who came before him, and the millions who would come after. From that height, your to-do list is invisible. Your hustle is a silent vibration. Your burnout is a speck of dust. When you feel the urgency trap closing in on you, the feeling that if you don't do this thing times right now asterisk, everything will collapse, use this visualization. Remind yourself that you are a biological organism on a rock floating in space. Your value is an internal state, not a digital ranking. You are the only person on Earth who can grant you permission to exist. Tool number 3, reparenting the achiever. The next time you feel the urge to work late into the night, or the next time you feel that burning guilt for sitting still, I want you to talk to that 7-year-old child inside of you. Visualize them standing in the room. They are tired, their eyes are heavy, and they are looking at you, wondering if they have done enough to be loved yet. What would you say to them? Would you tell them to push harder? Would you tell them they are a disappointment for wanting to sleep? No. You would hold them. You would tell them, you have done enough. You were enough before you even started. You are allowed to rest. Every time you choose to rest, you are being the parent you never had. You are breaking the cycle of conditional love. Tool number 4, the dopamine fast of comparison. The algorithms are designed to keep you in a state of not enoughness. You must be ruthless in curating your digital environment. If an account makes you feel like you should be doing more, unfollow it. If a platform triggers your relative deprivation, delete it. You are an orchid, and the digital world is a field of dandelions. You cannot thrive in the sidewalk noise. Build your own greenhouse of information, things that nourish your curiosity, not your insecurity. Reclaim your psychological ownership. Stop being a consumer of other people's lives and start being the architect of your own peace. As we draw this deep dive to a close, I want you to look at your hands one more time. They are still. They are not typing. They are not holding a tool. They are just there. And in this moment, you are perfectly, completely whole. The world will tell you that you are losing time. The world will tell you that the grind is the only path to freedom. But the Stoics knew better. They knew that the only true freedom is the ability to be at peace with oneself in the silence. Your exhaustion is a story you have been telling yourself to avoid the truth. And the truth is this: you are allowed to take up space without a reason. You are allowed to be unproductive without being worthless. You are a masterpiece of biological engineering, not a machine of economic output. The still face of the world may never smile back at your rest, but you can smile at yourself. I want you to make a promise to the version of you that is currently drowning in a sea of should-dos. Tell them, I see you. I know you are tired. and I am finally letting us come home. In the coming year, 2026, the noise will only get louder. The pressure to optimize every second of your life will be immense. Do not fall for the trick. Your value is not a performance. Your life is not a transaction. If you felt a shift in your internal gravity today, if you realize that your addiction to exhaustion is a mask, you are finally ready to take off, then you have already won. You belong here at the Behavioral Psychology Lab with the other sovereign minds who are choosing truth over the grind. Consider subscribing as we continue to decode the dark corridors of the human mind and master the art of being truly human. Share this video with that friend who is always too busy, the one who wears their burnout like a badge of honor. They are the ones who need to hear that they can finally stop running. Take one last deep breath. Feel the ground beneath you. Notice the silence. It is not a void. It is a greenhouse. And in this greenhouse, you are finally allowed to bloom. Not because you are useful, not because you are busy, but simply because you are. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your silence. And thank you for having the courage to face the void and realize it was actually a sanctuary. Until next time, keep observing, keep resting, and never apologize for the magnificent depth of your quiet soul. Class dismissed. Wait, one final thought. Think about the last time you were genuinely happy. Was it when you achieved a goal? Or was it a small, quiet moment where you forgot that you had a goal at all? Seek more of those moments. They are the only ones that truly count. Goodbye for now.